3 ways to fix it up. First, you're going to want to focus on food instead of exercise. So much easier to do too, because you don't have to spend all those hours in the gym to exercise. And I got 3 specific solutions for you. The first is going to plan out your meals. Now, you don't have to go to the extreme of this, where you meal prep and have everything in containers and everything portioned out. However, research shows that when you can plan what you're going to eat in advance of eating it, you tend to make healthier choices because you're not as driven by your hunger and by the sensation and pleasure of eating. You're driven more from your goals and what you actually want in terms of health, weight loss, and energy. So what I do personally, I don't plan a week in advance. I typically do a day, or if it's a busy week, a few days in advance. And it's very easy to set aside 10-15 minutes the night before to prepare a little bit of oatmeal, smoothie, have things set up or worked out in your mind so that the next day, your whole day can flow very easily and you don't have to worry about what you're going to eat and make decisions in the moment. Next, this is just a whole bunch of different comfort food, because another mistake people make is that they cut out a lot of their favorite foods when they're transitioning to eat healthier. There's actually, I really like this 3-step process that Kaiser Permanente has to switch to a plant-based diet. I'm not saying that we have to switch to a plant-based diet, just like the steps. What he does is, first you identify 3 foods that you enjoy eating right now, right? 3 healthy foods you enjoy eating right now. Everyone has something. If you're, for example, if you're switching to a plant-based diet, maybe you enjoy eating ratatouille. That's a weird example. Maybe you enjoy like a pasta dish. Just keep it simple. A pasta dish, can't even think.
Baked apples.
Like baked apples. Steak, yes. Vegetable steak, excellent choice. Yeah, and then what you do is the next step is take foods that you already like and enjoy and switch it over. So I'm really good at these examples. Let's say you enjoy pizza. You have the pizza without the cheese and add more vegetables. If you like tacos, you would have tacos, take out the meat, add in beans. Just an example for that. You could switch it, even if you have meat in your diet, you could switch it out for like steak to chicken, or finding ways to add more vegetables into foods that you already enjoy. And then next step is to always be looking for new fun ways to add in healthy meals. So there's like tons of recipes for healthy cookies online, different little hacks they have that you can make, like healthy pancakes, where you mash up a banana and mix in 2 eggs, and it kind of cooks up, and it has less processed flour, less added sugar to it. And then the third step is going to be a little bit about portions. So I view portion control 2 different ways. There's the way that you can't just eat whatever you want in whatever quantity, because you get bloated, you gain weight, and it can put too much stress on your digestive tract. So you get gas, you get issues. It's not a pretty picture. But the way that I like to do it, that combines with having your favorite foods. So I really love ice cream. I could eat, heard about the milkshake story, ice cream, same thing. But now what I do, instead of having, let's say, a cup of ice cream, I have half a cup of ice cream, and I cut it with berries, flax seeds, whatever. I cut it with healthier, lower calorie foods that have a ton of nutrition in it. So I still get that same treat, but I don't get the huge portion and the huge, lapse in energy that typically comes with it, and I can stay satisfied without going overboard. Now the next issue is about counting calories. So in the past, again, that vegetable example that came up was because I've been vegan for about the past 6 years. I tried actually going to put meat back in my diet and count carbohydrates, proteins, and fats to mess around with it. Because in essence, counting calories, counting nutrients, same exact thing, just focusing on slightly different details. And it was rough. But I added in meat for about 1 meal a day just to make it easier to get different amounts of fat and protein into the diet. And what happened was, it was very weird because I looked at the science and I calculated everything just from the calories, the carbohydrates, proteins, fats. I followed everything to a T in terms of the science. But after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I was still gaining weight, even though on paper that shouldn't have been the case. So I was very confused until I saw this. I'm gonna have a little 2-minute clip break. Oh, there's no sound. One second. Alright. There's subtitles. Oh, there we go.
They're eating more plants, or maybe they're just eating. We know vegetarians have considerably lower obesity rates compared to those that eat meat, but why? Is it because they're not eating meat, or because they're eating more plants, or maybe they're just eating fewer calories or exercising more? This study controlled for all that. In essence, they took men and women who ate the same number of calories a day, ate the same amount of vegetables and fruit, grains, same amount of exercise, but ate different amounts of meat. Men and women who ate less than a single serving a day of meat were on average not overweight, but the more meat they ate, the heavier they were, and by 1.5 servings a day, they crossed the threshold, a BMI of 25, to become officially classified as overweight. Which type of meat was the worst? If you remember back to that study of hundreds of thousands of men and women, poultry consumption appeared to be the worst. But maybe it was reverse causation, meaning obesity led to greater chicken consumption, not the other way around. This new study controlled for that, adjusting for dietary habits, yet found the same thing. Chicken consumption was most associated with weight gain in both women and men, and it didn't take much. And compared to those who didn't eat any chicken at all, those eating about 20 or more grams of chicken a day had a significantly greater increase in their body mass index. That's around 1 chicken nugget or a single chicken breast once every 2 weeks compared to no chicken at all.
And so, the point about that isn't that animal products are bad or anything like that. What I want you to take from that is that not all calories are equal. Because if someone could have 100 calories of chicken compared to 100 calories of oatmeal and gain more fat than expected from the chicken than from the oatmeal, then counting calories doesn't work. It doesn't give you the result that you're looking for. In addition to that, I had this graphic made, very pretty, very proud of it, and what it shows is not just calories overall, it's caloric density. So given you have a plate of food, depending on what you put in that plate, you'll have different amounts of energy per plate. So on the bottom, in the lower area, you have vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, like beans, seeds, that kind of thing. Then it goes to animal products, flours, nuts, seeds, fats, and oils. And so studies have showed that people typically eat about 2.5 to 4.1 pounds of food a day, regardless of what it's made out of. So if you could imagine, a good example of this is to imagine eating 2,000 calories of cheeseburgers in a day. That'll be 3 to 4 cheeseburgers. You could do that in maybe 1 or 2 sittings. I'm sure the guys here could pack away a few burgers at once. And then you could even be hungry later in the day for even more food. But if, in the extreme example, if you had like sweet potatoes, black beans, and broccoli, if you're eating 2,000 calories of that, that would be like a huge amount of food, and that could fill you up for the whole day. Maybe you can have enough to share with a friend. The idea is that these foods have more fiber, nutrients, and water in them that fill you up for fewer calories. So essentially, it's sending a different message to your brain. The way that you determine if you're satisfied and full is based on how stretched your stomach gets after a meal. You see, we kind of evolved from an era where we didn't have a lot of sources of fat, salt, sugar in the food, and so we determined how full we are based on how full we felt, not on how much fat, carbohydrates, or protein we're eating. So when you stay in this kind of sweet spot and have good moderation, you're able to maintain a healthy weight, and you could even lose weight by incorporating more of these plant-based foods into your everyday diet.